Well, hello. How are you today? This is Tuesday. We are at December 17th. And if you can tell, I am actually outside. So I really pray and hope that it's not going to be too noisy out here. I'm out at a little farm that we have. It's out in the country, but obviously this time of the day, there tends to be a lot more traffic. During the earlier parts, it was dead silent. It was beautiful, and it still is. It's very calming. But I'm going to apologize right up front here if anybody is watching that the traffic that is popping on. All right, so uh, it is getting closer to count down to the time of Christmas time, and we are so busy with different things. But I wanted to continue giving you some of the ideas and that I have for what I call creative reminders. And these are reminders that I've created, I put together. They're affirmations that as I look at them, I find that when I use these throughout the day, or specifically at least once a day in the morning times, I like to kind of get myself really, my brain going in the right direction. What do you need to do? What do you need to this? What do you need to that? Well, part of that is also about, is there anything going on in my mind that I might be worried or concerned about? And if there is, then really kind of changing that whole perception around and getting it changed. And I'm not going to go into that right now at this, because we're here to create a project, but that's what this is about. This is what I do, is create art projects, art pieces to go with my affirmations. Because if you're reading my emails, you're noticing that I'm trying to let you understand how important it is to have that visualization, that visual image in our mind of what it is that we're wanting to be thinking about, what we want to feel. And I'll tell you too, you probably don't know me very well, but I'm a mother of 6. All my children are grown. We have one daughter who is deceased at the age of 17, was taken from us. And so, as a older mother, you might say, of grown children, you tend to worry. I don't want to say more. You worry just as much. Let's just say that you worry just as much. And there's always those concerns of, if they're well, if everything's going great, and we can worry too much. That's what I'm trying to say. And I find that these have been extremely helpful. So if you're a person who never worries about anything, who doesn't, maybe, who's not really sensitive to other people's comments or what they say, who doesn't find that when, a thought enters their mind, it kind of loops around and stays in there for a while. If none of those reasons really affect you, then this probably isn't something that you would find important. But I do find that when I have thoughts, and that they do tend to loop around in my mind, and they will loop until they start creating a form of anxiety or definite stress, because they just stay there. And as much as I try to push them out and say it doesn't matter, or I'm not going to think about that, it always comes back. And so I have been trained years ago in the importance of being able to redirect our thinking and putting in those new perceptions. And with that, I love the ability to create images to go along with them. And so last week, what we did is we created this cute little ornament here that's on a little pine branch. And you will actually find that if you go to my website, kathyfreemanart.com, click over to the little art village. When you find my little art village, click on the community center. And in the community center, you'll see there's down on the far left, I have, you can click on, and there's a lot of little free classes in that you can watch, and the replays and that you can see from lives that I've done before. And they're not all for these creative reminders. They're all different kinds of projects that I've shared over the past little while. But you will find this in that particular area. And then today's project are these little golden jingle bells, these little cute jingle bells. And I am going to be walking you through as we do this. And the statement in that I found to be super helpful for that. Let me see if I can find the statement that I'm going to be using. With every ring, I hear God's call to live his love, to live in his love, walk in his grace, and trust in his perfect timing. I love that affirmation. With every ring, I hear God's call to live in his love, walk in his grace, and trust in his perfect timing. And that's what a creative reminder that I have that's in. I number them so I can find them easily later if I want to go back and reference them. It's number 2206. I also sent out an email just a little while ago. So if you're not on my email list, go to kathyfreemanart.com, get on my email list. It's right there on that front page. And I sent out an email with some other affirmations that I thought would go perfectly with these golden jingle bells. I'll share those with you really quickly. One of them is, I'm filled with joy and harmony, like the golden jingle bells that ring with purpose and clarity. Each sound reminds me of the beauty of new beginnings and the limitless possibilities ahead. I move through life with a spirit of celebration, trusting that God's light guides my path and fills my heart with peace and gratitude. And then I've got one more here that I really, well, there's a couple of them, but I really like this simplified version. I gave you several, but this one is just a nice, simple one. Like golden jingle bells, I bring joy and peace wherever I go. Each sound reminds me of God's blessings and fills my heart with gratitude and hope, trusting in his perfect timing. Now, I find these are so important right now because as we get closer to the Christmas season, we're going to find that either the stress level gets, increases on ourselves, or it's going to increase in other people. And it's going to become, it's easy to say or to be, short with our words. It's also easy to be grumpy. And nothing's worse than mama to be grumpy in the house. So if you find that it's getting a little stressful, I think that I love particularly this little affirmation that, let's see if I can pull it back up, like golden jingle bells, I bring joy and peace wherever I go. Isn't that awesome? I think that's super cool. At least for me, I think that's super cool. Bring joy and peace wherever I go. All right, let's get us going on actually creating these golden jingle bells, and keep watch. If you like affirmations, if you find that they're helpful, I have found that they have been extremely helpful for, I was coaching for 25 years. And before that, I didn't, I was going through the training, but then I have used affirmations for a very long time and find that they're very helpful. And when I go through situations that are extremely stressful to me, then I find that I'm so grateful I have them. I also find that, we've been married for a very long time. And I think that with a lot of help from our Heavenly Father, and we have to do our part, though. That part is to keep our minds, keep ourselves in a space where we are still pleasant to be around. So if we're getting too stressed out, my friends, then we're not fun to be around. And I think it's important to remember that. So let's get on with what our art project is today. And I put in the email that I sent out to prepare you for this, that you would need a 4x6 piece of watercolor paper. Also your watercolors. And I always tape down, I love the clean, crisp edges of taping down my pages. So because this is such a small piece, I tend to use washi tape. A lot of times, most of the time I will get those clean, crisp edges, but sometimes I get a little bleed over, and that doesn't bother me personally. It's just one of those beautiful things that watercolor does. And so I appreciate that. But this is a really simple one. So if you are an individual who is not really sure about being an artist, I think you'll find this to be very easy to do. Let me get started here and walk you through this. But I tend to separate mine into like colors that are more purple, and then I've got by vibrant colors, and so depending on what I'm creating, then I like to use those. It's important, I think. I drew this out on my paper here, but it's important to lift off some of that graphite so that it's not too dark. And really, you need to be very careful doing this. Probably the easiest, I'm going very lightly with the eraser that's on this little mechanical pencil. And why do you need to be careful with it? Why can you not just get in there and start scrubbing it down with your eraser? It's because you'll lift up the little fragments of the paper and lift those up, and then it tends to not work as well with your watercoloring. So be really careful when you're erasing in that. And I've chosen the gold. I love this gold that's in this particular palette that I have here. I just love it. The colors in it, and this is a really simple thing. I just simply drew out 3 little balls, placed the one on front of the other, and now we're just going to go through and add the watercolor to that. You can put the water down, because if you're familiar with watercolor, you know that the paint typically only goes where the water is. And so you can just put the water down if you want, and then apply your color. Or you can also do what's called wet on dry, which is adding it straight like you would acrylic paint or anything else. And that's pretty much how I'm doing this one. I'm not adding the water together down first. I'm wanting it to stay in a real specific place. And so I don't want it to travel. I don't want it to bleed into other areas. So I'm going wet on dry. And hello, we've got more joining us as you come on. Go ahead and say hello and give me an idea of where you're from. It's fun to have you here and watching. And remember, I'll have this replay in the community center. Just you can type in the group name that I have for my art group, which is myartsisters.com. That will take you directly to the little art village. Or if you haven't been to my website before, go to kathyfreemanart.com. Make sure you're on my email list, because like I said, I send out emails talking about this today, and then in those emails I always try to put the supplies that you need, or the affirmations in that we're going to be using as we create this. So keep in touch. I don't send out a lot, but I do try to send them out when I've got something going on, something to let you know and keep you notified. Also, if you see the email come through, go ahead and click on it, open it up, because that lets your email provider know that no, this from Kathy Freeman Art is not spam. It'll always try to put up a warning or something like that, but no, it's not spam. I wanted this. It's here because I wanted this. All right, as I go around, I'm really emphasizing it. The beauty of watercolor is layering. And I'm doing this in a very short time, but if you're doing it on your own, you can give it time to dry in between layers. It tends to dry pretty quickly. Hi, Anne. Good to have you here. It tends to dry pretty quickly, and so you can add those layers in. We've got these little strings that are coming down that are holding are gold jingle bells. And you'll have to go back after we're through. I'll have the replay in the community center in myartsister.com. In the little art village, it'll be in the community center. You just click it, that there'll be a little spot there that's down towards the bottom on the left side of the page, and it's classes and that are free to watch, and you can see the replay of this. And if you go back in, we just talked about a few minutes ago some of the wonderful statements and the affirmations and that I love to, that I'll be using with this one. I created that goes along with jingle bells. We're going to create some of the holly and the berries up here at the top of this now. And you can just do very quickly some little circles. I wouldn't spend too much time with the bells. I like going back in and making sure that I've got some shadows and some depth added to. But the these little berries, even though I'm trying to create a I'm trying to create that depth. It's not very easy when it's so small. So I wouldn't worry about doing that. This, what I'm doing now is adding a little bit of pulling up some of the brown. And if you think back on your jingle bells, they tend to kind of concave in a little bit. So right here where the end is and the string goes through, we're going to put a little shadow just to emphasize that. How's your day going, Anne? I hope it's going well. I'm outside. We have such a beautiful day. I know so many people are in snow and cold. My daughter's come down from Ohio, and she was saying it was in the 20s. And so she's enjoying our Texas weather here, where it's a nice day. So I just had to come out and enjoy it before we start losing it also. Plus, get some of my vitamin D, right? So sitting in the sun and absorbing that sunlight. Now, jingle bells always have those little, we're doing the openings. It's kind of like a cut mark or whatever, and it's just put little circles up at the top. Just create a little circle about halfway up. And there's usually 4 because it goes side to side. And then use that brown and come down towards the bottom and create the opening. There, we're kind of getting this created. And I think what I'm going to do, just to make it a little easier for you as the viewer, is go to there we go. Let's just enlarge that for you so you can see that better. I'm coming back in with the same color that I used to start with, that golden, it's almost like a hay golden color. And we're putting now another layer on top, which is helping us to create the shadows and the shading. My camera tends to do that every once in a while. I apologize when it does do it. But it likes to come into focus for us. Now with this one, this little one is in on that side where I am right now painting is behind this other. So the other jingle bell is casting a shadow on it. So make that really dark right over on that far side. Wherever a jingle bell is in front of the one behind, put a couple of layers down to make that shadow appear a little bit stronger. This would make a fun journal page also. If you're keeping it for yourself, an art journal. And I'm imagining that the light source is coming from the front. As you can see, I'm keeping it lighter, right? Kind of the center of each one of those bells. Just clean out your brush really good before we go on to the next. We're going to start now on our leaves. Holly leaves are fun to create. And I'm just going to get color down on these. I'm wetting it first, but I'm going to just put color, and then I want to use my acrylic pastels. So I'll bring those in and do a little bit more of the detailing. Right. Pick ourselves some greens. I'm going to use a little bit different color than I typically do. Usually I'm using olive green, apple green colors, but this one's going to have a little more blue in it. And I rarely use this one, so I thought this is a good place to play with it and try it. So I'm careful to make sure I'm keeping that overlapping of one leaf to another here. And if you like to just play and let the paint do its thing, these leaves right now doing this part of the project is it's fun. Just wet it, add the color, let it blend itself, move around. Don't forget to do that little area up there above the berries. I'm still using the same color green for all of these, but you could, in a few minutes, I'll go ahead. I think I'll add something else to mix in with it, but you could do different leaves in different greens. I wouldn't do a drastic change, but You are the artist of your artwork, so you get to decide how you want that to be. Welcome, we've got more watching, so thank you for showing up. And say hello in our comments if you're able to. If you can find the comments, let me know where you're from. Good to have you here watching. Trying a little bit of the lighter green to see if that will just add some variation to it. And this has a lot of yellow in it. The olive green. One of my favorites is the olive green. I love using that. And welcome, we've got more watching, so please go ahead and say hi. Tell me where you're from. Let me know where you're watching from. It's good to have you. I'm using the very tip of this. This is my medium size watercolor brush, but it makes a wonderful tip point at the end of it. And so I love using this brush because it'll hold a lot of water and it holds a lot of the pigment, the color, but then it also will create a really nice fine point so that I can do some detailing with it and get into those little tiny, tiny corners. I don't have to transfer to a smaller brush. I don't know about you, but once I get painting, unless it's tiny, really, really fine detailing, I tend to like to just use a very few brushes. See now, what do we need? Kind of look it over, always look over, maybe stand back from your artwork, stand back far enough so that you can get an idea of what it looks like, when you're viewing it. I'm putting a little bit of a blue around here because when I lift up, and it's light and faint, but when I lift off the tape, then you'll have that real distinct edge. You can do all kinds of things with your background, but I'm just keeping it a simple, quick little project, something that I just wanted to work for a few minutes and enjoy my art supplies, then this is the easiest way to do it. Hi, Karen. I'm glad you're here. Where are you from? Thank you. You're watching us from YouTube, and I'm glad that you've joined us. Today I did go over into my YouTube channel, so thank you for coming. I think art should be very relaxing for us. Well, at least it is for me. And if you are getting stressed out creating, let's talk. Because you're losing the benefits, all the beautiful benefits. Oops, I've just gotten a little darker there, but no problem. I grab my water quickly and I can distribute that color very fast. If by chance I do get a little bit too much down, then I've got paper towel close by. I use that and I'll lift it up a little bit. New Jersey. Welcome, New Jersey. I'm glad you're here. I am down in Texas, and for those that were watching when we first started, I'm outside actually because it's a beautiful day, and so I'm outside here creating and enjoying this last bit of I'm not much of winter's great. I love to look at it, but I don't like driving in it, and I don't like to be cold. All right, we've got the background done. We're just about done with this. And when I'm complete in that, I won't actually write my affirmation on this with you, but I will put it on the back, and I'll turn it into a little creative reminder, which basically is the title I give to these pieces of art that I put affirmations on in the back. And then I can look at a beautiful or something that visually reminds me. This right now, as I'm going back in, I'm using the same color, that little gold that I started with. And it's because it's dried, we can put another layer on top. Remember, that's the beauty of watercolor, is layer, layer, layer. That's what gives you your depth. That's what gives you your shadows. Let it dry just a little bit. A lot of times in my art, because I am doing them live or I'm teaching my classes to my art groups here online, I will use a dryer just to dry them quickly so that we can move on to the next step, and it won't take hours and hours. But doing it at home, you can walk away from it and let it dry a little bit, or just by working on another piece of the project, then you can come back to, that gives it a little bit of drying time, and you can come back in. And I'm hitting some of these outer edges down here at the bottom around these openings that on a little bell would be cut. These would be cut areas, if on jingle bells. And let's just play, keep adding a little bit of the shadows in that, and it'll create them so that they will pop out. They'll stand out and become a little more three-dimensional instead of two-dimensional. All that is done with your shading, getting your lights and your darks. All right, let's see. Now I'm using a pencil. You could use a pen, but I didn't want it to be dark. And I'm just creating the little string and that might go up around. If the jingle bell is tied to something, you might have a little bit of a string or something like that. Or you may not. I'm putting it on mine, and I'm actually using my pencil to go back and outline some of this area, just re-emphasize. And let's get down to the details now. Being left-handed, I have to turn my my paper a little bit onto the side. Makes it easier to get to. And like I said, you could use, if you're going to use a pen, typically I do use a pen most of the time. It's rare that I'm using a pencil, but I wanted to keep it very soft and subdued. A pen would have a sharper, a more defined line. And so if I did, I would use my very fine tips. I love using this. This right now, I'm going to put on this is a charcoal pencil. And I'm going to put just a little bit because this jingle bell is behind the other one. So that charcoal comes down. It's easy to put down and then use our finger to kind of smudge it out. So you really can't tell. It's very subtle, but it helps it to stand out. If you're doing this, just really think to your mind, okay, if the light's hitting, where would a shadow? And being that, on little bells, little jingle bells, this is opened inside here. This is actually a cut area that opens up, and you could see through it if you were to look. And so we're going to make this a little bit darker too. And I think before I'm done here, I'm going to pull out my pastels, my pastel pencils, and use those because I love to blend with those. So a lot of this little extra here, it's not necessary. It's just me having a good time relaxing and playing with the supplies that I have. If you don't have acrylic pencils, which I didn't have for a long time, then you can use maybe a colored pencil or something. But what I like about those is when I put them down, then they blend. I can use my finger and blend them. Let's make this a little bit darker. So I'm coming back in with my brown and really emphasizing this. Dry it off my brush here. I'm going to kind of smooth it out, blend it out a little bit. Clean out this brush. Each little detail that we take the time to add and come back in just makes it come a little bit more alive. Welcome. We keep having people pop in and pop out. I'm so glad you have popped in. Say hello, put your name, tell me where you're from because it's fun to know where each other's at. I'm going to speak. All right. I think we got that. Just a little bit more. With each layer, I just love adding these layers on here. All right, now let's take off our tape. It's like the big reveal. I always love this. For me, it's like opening a Christmas present. It's beautiful. I'm loving it. And I hope you're painting along with me and enjoying what you're creating also. All right, these are my pastels. Told you I'd love to pull these in. We'll just put a little bit of the veining for the leaf, give it a little bit of definition. There again, you don't have to. You could leave the leaves as they were and just have the bells a little bit, the jingle bells, a little more defined, and have more detail on those. That would pull the attention. I am going to leave these, even though I'm going to add some detail, I'm going to keep it pretty loose because I want the focus, I want the attention to go to the bells themselves. They become the focal point is what I want them to be. And so even though I just have a great time playing with my paints and colors here, sometimes I keep going. I do want to maintain that the bells are the focal point, especially with the creative reminders, the statements I'm going to be putting in or putting on the back. It's all about the ringing of the bells. I've chosen a more of a blue-green because I knew that it would be contrast. There we go. I love that. Love that. All right. Thank you. We've finished this up. Let's see if I can bring myself back on. Thank you for showing up today and being a part of this. Do you have any questions or anything that I can answer for you? I want to wish you, if you celebrate Christmas, a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate other holidays, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful month as we are getting down to the end of the year. So I'm focusing in on new things I'll be bringing out in January, the beginning of January. So if you're on my email list, watch your emails. If you think to yourself, I'm not seeing them, look in the spam folder because a lot of those go to the spam folder, and click and open them up. You will see the replay of this by going to either kathyfreemanart.com, clicking on the little art village up in the menu, click on that, and you will see where it says Community Center. And in the Community Center is where I am storing the replays of these particular pieces of art that I do, these live at fives or these little extra things that I throw out there to you. You can always see the replay there. An easy way to get to that is put in myartsisters.com, which takes you directly to the little art village. That's something on the web that I created for my art members so that they can easily get to their lessons and our lives. And I'm all about making it simple. I don't want it to be too complicated. I did a live this morning, well, actually around noon. And the members that joined said, oh my goodness, this was so easy to join. And I'm really trying to pull away from some of the social medias that so that we don't meet there. But do see the replay. I see more coming on and I'm welcoming you. You can find the replay in the community center on my website there, myartsisters.com. Click the community center and see it. All right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I don't see any questions, but I'm so grateful that you did show up today and that you are joining us. And I want to be able to wish you a wonderful holiday. It's coming up. It's just around the corner. Keep yourself in a great space, filled with gratitude and feeling peace. Create yourself a creative reminder. If you're getting my emails so you can see those, create a creative reminder. Let me just go back really fast and see if I can find that. And I'll read to you one more time what I'm going to be putting on the back of this particular one. This is what I'm going to write on the back of this. I've got a couple of these affirmations that I want to write here so that I can read them each day and just really direct my mind in a great way. This first one that I'm going to use is with every ring, I hear God's call to live in his love, walk in his grace, and trust in his perfect timing. And that's from the, I've got a Creative Reminders library. That's number 206. So for any of my members that are watching, 206, you'll be able to find that. And then I send out an email and put about 3 others besides that one that you can get for free and use for yourself. But this is another one I'm going to add on. Like golden jingle bells, I bring joy and peace wherever I go. Each sound reminds me of God's blessings and fills my heart with gratitude and hope, trusting in his perfect timing. I love those. And I tell you, it sure keeps me calm. Takes away that stress. Helps me to be able to stay more in tune to the spirit and be able to feel more calm about everything that's going on around me. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. And I won't be doing another one. Well, I do have a white poinsettia I wanted to do. I'm not sure if that is scheduled, if I'll do that next week, or if I'm just going to pop it on here for y'all to watch. But I'll have that out. I've got a great affirmation for that. I might do that after the holidays, after Christmas, in that week in between the new year and whatever. I might do it then. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy Tuesday to you. And thank you so much for joining in with us today. All right. Take care.